I stood up in front of 120 people at my sister's wedding reception, picked up the microphone, looked the groom dead in the eye, and said, "Before we toast, I think everyone here should know who the groom has been talking to online for the past 3 months." That's the moment. That's the one. Let me tell you how I got there. My name is Dani. I'm 29, I'm a paralegal, and I hate conflict so much that I once let a restaurant charge me for a steak I didn't order rather than wave down a waiter. So when I tell you I blew up my sister's wedding in front of 120 people, you need to understand, I had no other option left. My sister Priya is 31. She's a pediatric nurse, she's funny, she cries at commercials, and she spent 4 years waiting for Marcus Holt to propose. Marcus is 33. He's a software project manager with one of those easy smiles that makes people trust him immediately. He is also the best liar I have ever met in my life. They got engaged 14 months before the wedding. Big diamond ring, rooftop restaurant, the whole thing. Priya called me crying happy tears from the restaurant bathroom. I was genuinely thrilled. Marcus had always been friendly to me, never given me a reason to doubt him. I was her maid of honor. I threw the engagement party, organized the bachelorette weekend in Savannah, drove her to every single dress fitting. I was completely all in. Now let me tell you about Marcus's best man. His name is Derek. He's 34, works in finance, and he's been Marcus's friend since college. Derek is the one who came to me with what he found. Without Derek, I never would have known. And without what Derek showed me, 120 people would have watched my sister marry a man who had spent 3 months running a fake online persona, targeting her little sister. That little sister is me. Here's how it started. About 6 weeks before the wedding, I started getting messages on a dating app I'd been using on and off. The guy's profile said his name was Cal, he was 35, worked in tech, lived about 40 minutes from me. His profile photo was some generic-looking brown-haired guy with glasses, clearly pulled from somewhere. His opening message was smooth, not creepy. He referenced something specific from my profile about hiking trails near the state park. We started talking. Over about 3 weeks, Cal and I exchanged maybe 200 messages. He asked about my job, my family, what I wanted in my life. He remembered details. He circled back to things I'd mentioned in passing. It felt like a real connection. I told my friend Becca about him. I said, I think I might actually like this guy. I was getting ready to suggest we meet in person. I never put it together on my own. Why would I? Cal looked nothing like Marcus. Dark hair, no glasses, Marcus is the opposite. And when do you actually study how your sister's fiancé types out a text message? You don't. You have no reason to. Derek figured it out. Here's how. As best man, Derek was with Marcus constantly in those weeks before the wedding, suit fittings, bachelor party logistics, all of it. One night about 3 weeks out, they were at Marcus's apartment and Marcus got a notification on his phone. Marcus laughed at something on the screen, set the phone down face up, and went to the kitchen to grab beers. Derek glanced at the screen. He saw a name. He saw my name. Dani. His first thought was that it was a regular wedding-related text from me, but the preview text didn't look like seating chart logistics. It looked like flirting. Derek didn't touch the phone. He didn't say anything to Marcus that night, but it stayed with him. He went home and started thinking. He knew I'd been on a dating app. I'd mentioned it at the engagement dinner back in November, just in passing, saying dating was a nightmare. He put it together slowly. Best man in a wedding. Groom's name showing up on the maid of honor screen in a context that made no sense. He sat with it for a few days before he did anything else. Then, later that same week, when Marcus stepped out to take a call, Derek picked up Marcus's unlocked phone and went into the app. He found the account. He found the full conversation with me. He took screenshots on his own phone before putting it back down. Derek texted me on a Thursday morning, 12 days before the wedding. He said, "Hey Dani, this is going to sound really strange. Can we talk on the phone? It's about Marcus. Please don't tell Priya yet." I almost didn't call him. I figured it was something minor, cold feet maybe, some drama he needed backup for. I called him that Thursday at noon, sitting in my car in the parking lot of the courthouse where I work. He told me everything. Then he sent me the screenshots. I sat in that car for 45 minutes reading through them. Cal was Marcus. I found the proof near the beginning of the conversation, where he had referenced your sister's wedding coming up, like it was something I'd casually mentioned. I had never mentioned having a sister on my profile. Not once. He had brought it up, I had responded, and then he'd smoothly steered the conversation somewhere else before I could register what that meant. He knew exactly who I was. He had created the account specifically to find me. The messages weren't explicitly sexual. They were something I almost found worse, deeply intimate. He was asking about my childhood, about my dad passing away when I was 19, about what kind of life I pictured for myself. He had me half in love with a fictional person while he was 6 weeks away from marrying my sister. 3 months of careful, calculated, deliberate conversation. This was not a mistake. This was a project. I got out of the car and threw up in a trash can. Then I called Derek back. I told him I needed to confront Marcus myself before doing anything else. Derek said he'd back me up whatever I decided. I texted Marcus that Friday evening, said I needed to talk to him privately before the wedding. He responded in 20 minutes. Of course, is everything okay? Cool as anything. We met at a coffee shop near his apartment Saturday morning at 10. I got there first. I ordered a coffee I didn't drink. I watched him walk in smiling and felt something go completely flat in my chest. I waited until he sat down. Then I put my phone on the table, face up, with one of the screenshots visible. I watched his face. He looked at the screen, and for exactly 2 seconds his expression didn't move at all. Then he started, "Dani, this isn't what." I cut him off. "You've been talking to me online for 3 months pretending to be someone named Cal. I know it's you. I have the screenshots." Silence. He put his elbows on the table and dropped his head. I didn't fill the quiet. I just waited. When he looked up, what he said was, "I got in too deep and I didn't know how to stop." I stared at him. "You need to tell Priya, today." It was nothing physical. It was stupid, I know that, but it wasn't. "Today, Marcus, you tell her today or I do." He nodded, very still. He said, "Give me until tomorrow morning. I'll tell her, I promise." I shouldn't have given him that. I know that now. But I was trying to give Priya the chance to hear it from him, let her at least have that dignity. So I went home, sat on my couch, and watched my phone for 12 hours. He didn't tell her. Sunday morning, I texted Priya something casual just to gauge the temperature. She sent back a photo of her nail appointment confirmation and 3 heart emojis. Zero indication anything had changed. I texted Marcus directly. "Did you tell her?" He left me on read for 4 hours. Then, "I'm going to. I just need a few more days. The wedding is almost here and I don't want to hurt her right now. I'll come clean right after. I swear." Right after. His actual plan was to marry my sister and then come clean. I called Derek immediately, told him what Marcus had said. Derek was quiet for a moment, then said exactly one sentence. "Dani, he's not going to tell her. You know that." I knew that. I told Derek I was going to tell Priya myself. He said he had the screenshots saved on 2 different devices and would back me completely. I asked him why he hadn't gone to Priya himself when he first found out. He said, "Because she's your sister, it should come from you." I tried to reach Priya 4 separate times between Sunday night and Wednesday. Every single time I got her voicemail, or she was deep in wedding logistics, and the conversation immediately got absorbed into centerpiece drama or seating chart chaos. Every time I tried to get serious, she said, "Can we talk about this after the wedding? I just need to get through this week." She didn't know there was a "this" to discuss. She thought I meant something minor. Thursday, 2 days before the wedding, Marcus texted me, "Please don't say anything. I'll handle it after. I know what I did was wrong. Please don't destroy her right before the biggest day of her life." I sat with that text for a long time. I thought about Priya and her dress. I thought about the roughly $18,000 our mom had put into this wedding between the venue deposit, catering, flowers, and everything else. I thought about 120 people who had flown and driven in from 4 states. I thought about Priya's face. And then I thought about my sister spending the rest of her life married to a man who had done this, who was capable of this level of calculated manipulation, and who had proven over the last week that he would not come clean on his own under any circumstances. Not with a direct confrontation. Not with 2 explicit promises. Not with 12 days to do the right thing. I made my decision. I want to be clear about the morning of the wedding. I did not go in looking for a scene. I went in still hoping, stupidly, that Marcus would pull me aside and tell me he'd finally come clean to Priya. that some version of this could resolve without me having to be the one to do it in public. The venue was a converted barn about 30 minutes outside the city. Beautiful place, exposed wood beams, Edison lights strung everywhere. Priya had planned every detail down to the minute. Bridesmaids in dusty rows, groomsmen in charcoal, the whole thing looked exactly like her Pinterest board. I arrived at 10:30 for the noon ceremony. Priya was already in the bridal suite getting her hair done, laughing with our mom and our cousin Terry. She looked radiant, actually radiant. She grabbed my hand when I walked in and said, "Dani, we're getting married today?" Like she'd just thought of it for the first time. I hugged her. I held on an extra second. I found Derek near the groom's suite at 11:15. He looked at me. I looked at him. He gave me one small nod. He had the screenshots loaded on his phone, ready to show anyone who needed proof. At 11:45, I went to the groom's suite one last time. Knocked. Marcus answered. His eyes went straight to mine. I said, "Last chance." He said, "Dani, please don't do this." I turned around and walked back to the bridal suite. I stood up at that ceremony and I did not say a word. I walked Priya down the aisle alongside our mom. Our dad has been gone for 10 years, and I handed her the bouquet at the right moment. I stood at the altar and watched the officiant and watched Marcus's face and held everything together. My hands were cold. My jaw ached from clenching it. Priya said her vows first. She cried. She laughed a little in the middle of crying. She said, "I choose you every single day, without hesitation, for the rest of my life." Marcus looked right at her and said his vows back like he meant every word. And then they were married, and I had missed my window at the ceremony. But there was still the reception. There was still the toast. The maid of honor toast was scheduled for 6:15, right after the first dances and before dinner service. I had a whole speech written on index cards in my clutch, warm, funny, months in the making. At 6:05, I went to the bathroom, sat on the closed lid of a toilet stall, and gave myself 10 minutes to think clearly. Here is what I knew. Marcus had not made a mistake in a weak moment. He had created a fake profile, found me on a dating app, and spent 3 months building a fake emotional relationship with me while planning to marry my sister. He had promised me twice he would come clean. He had not. He had actively chosen to let the wedding happen rather than tell the truth. If I stayed quiet, there were only 3 possible endings. I carried this secret alone forever. It came out later and destroyed Priya even worse, or he did it again to me or to someone else. None of those were acceptable. I came out of that bathroom at 6:12. I found Derek at his table near the front, told him to be ready. He pulled his phone out and set it on the table. At 6:15, the DJ handed me the microphone. The room got quiet. 120 people smiling at me. Priya at the head table, already a little flushed from champagne, looking at me with so much love. I looked at Marcus, and I said, "Before we toast, I think everyone here should know who the groom has been talking to online for the past 3 months." Complete silence, 1 second, maybe 2. Then the whole room exhaled and started whispering at once. I heard a chair scrape. I heard Priya say, "What?" I kept going, voice level. For the past 3 months, Marcus has been running a fake dating profile under the name Cal. He used it to talk to me, to catfish me, his own fiancé's sister. I have the screenshots. Derek has copies. We gave Marcus the chance to come clean to Priya privately. He refused, so here we are. Marcus stood up. He didn't speak at first. He just stood up. Priya turned to look at him. Slowly, still holding her champagne glass, she turned. I will see that moment for the rest of my life. Marcus said, loud enough for the mic to catch, "It wasn't what she's making it sound like." Derek stood up from his table. Clear and steady. "I found it on your phone, man. I took the screenshots. I gave them to Dani. It's real." That was the pin dropping. Our mom stood up. My cousin Terry grabbed her arm. Someone in the back, I still don't know who, said, "Oh my God," loud enough to carry across the whole barn. The DJ had cut the music. The caterers along the side wall had all stopped moving. Priya set her champagne glass down on the table very carefully. Then she pushed back her chair and walked out through the side door without saying a single word. I put the microphone down on the nearest table and followed her. I found her outside on a small stone patio around the side of the building. She was standing with her back to me, arms crossed, looking out at a garden that wasn't lit up at night. I didn't say anything. I just stood near her. After about 2 minutes, she said, "How long have you known?" I told her everything. When Derek came to me, when I confronted Marcus, when he promised to tell her and didn't. Every date, every detail. She didn't cry right away. She asked 3 or 4 clarifying questions in a completely flat voice. Then she asked to see the screenshots. I texted them to her right there on that patio. She scrolled through every single one. Then she sat down on a stone bench and put her face in her hands. I sat next to her, put my hand on her back, and waited. We sat there for about 20 minutes. A caterer came around the corner once, looked at us, and silently turned back. Our mom found us around the 45-minute mark and sat down on Priya's other side. Marcus never came outside to find her. Derek told me later that Marcus had stayed at the head table for about 10 minutes looking like he'd been hit with something heavy and then left the venue entirely. He was gone before we came back inside. We never went back inside that night. Eventually, Priya, our mom, and I drove back to our mom's house. Priya sat in the passenger seat in her wedding dress. Nobody talked much. Now let me tell you about the fallout, because it was significant. The wedding party group, chat, 47 members including extended family, went completely nuclear within 2 hours. I had muted my phone, so I came back to it later that night and found 312 messages. The split was not clean. Marcus's Aunt Phyllis, a woman I had met exactly twice, sent a paragraph calling me a jealous, attention-seeking saboteur who had destroyed a family out of spite. His college friend Rob wrote that I had no right to do it in public and could have waited. His mom Gloria sent a voice note, an actual voice note, in the group chat, crying and saying I had humiliated her son and her family in front of everyone they loved. She said what Marcus did was private and should have stayed that way. She used the word cruel 4 times. My cousin Terry texted me separately, not in the group chat. "Did you have to do it that way, in front of everyone, the day of?" I texted back, he had 12 days and 2 direct promises. What was my other option? She didn't respond. My mom was completely in my corner from night 1. She texted me at midnight after the wedding. "You protected her. End of story." Derek called me the next morning. Marcus had texted him, "You're dead to me," and blocked him on everything. Derek said it without much emotion and added, "I'd do it again." He became, in the weeks that followed, a genuine ally. He and Priya started talking a few weeks after everything settled, not romantically, just him checking in on her. That's its own story. The legal angle came up too. Apparently Marcus consulted a lawyer and was exploring his options. Priya's friend Keisha, who works in legal, gave me a heads up. Nothing came of it. You cannot claim defamation when the other side has timestamped screenshots and all you did was state true facts out loud. That died fast. Gloria called me directly the Wednesday after the wedding. I picked up because I didn't recognize the number. She spent 6 minutes telling me I'd ruined her family's reputation, that what Marcus did was just talking, and that Priya would have been perfectly happy never knowing. I let her finish. Then I said, "He built a fake relationship with your son's fiancée's sister and lied to both of us every day for 3 months. Priya deserved to know who she was marrying." Then I hung up. Gloria sent 3 more texts after that. I didn't read past the first line of any of them. On the practical side, the venue refunded about $4,200 in catering costs since most of the food had never been brought out. Our mom put that check directly into Priya's account. Priya used part of it to hire a lawyer to sort out the legal situation. They had been technically married for about 40 minutes before everything fell apart, so there was actual paperwork to deal with. The marriage was annulled 4 weeks later. Marcus vacated their shared apartment within 10 days and moved back to his parents' place 2 states away. That is all I know, because that is all I care to know. Now let me tell you where things stand, about 3 months later. Priya is not fine. I want to be honest about that. She's not walking around healed and happy. She still has nights where she calls me at 11 and we just talk, sometimes about Marcus, mostly about other things. She went back to work 6 weeks after the wedding. She sees a therapist every Tuesday at 4:30. She's not dating. She's rebuilding something, and it's slow and it's real. What she said to me about a month after the wedding is the thing I keep coming back to. She said, "If you hadn't said something, I would have gone on my honeymoon with him. I would have started a life with him, and someday it would have come out and it would have been so much worse. Then she said, I needed to know. Even that way, I needed to know. She has never told me I was wrong, not once. My relationship with cousin Terry is still strained. She still hasn't fully said she was wrong to question me. I'm not holding my breath. Some people need every hard thing handled quietly, even when quiet isn't possible anymore. Derek and I have grabbed coffee twice. He's a good person who did the right thing at real personal cost. Losing a best friend of 15 years because you told the truth is not a small thing, and I don't think he gets enough credit for it. As for me, I deleted the dating app. Not forever, probably, just for now. I needed some time where my inbox was just mine again. I'm genuinely okay. I have moments where I'm just angry, not sad, just angry that Marcus put me in that position. That he made me be the one to blow everything up because he refused to do it himself. That he stood at that altar and said vows to my sister while 3 months of fake conversations with me were sitting on his phone. The audacity of that still hits me sometimes. But I would do it again. I would stand up in that room with that microphone and say it again every single time. No version of keeping the peace was worth what would have come after. My mom said something to me about 2 weeks after everything happened. She said, "Your dad would have done the same thing." I don't know if that's true, but it's the best thing anyone said to me through all of this, and I'm keeping it. So that's the whole story. 120 people, one microphone, one sentence. A wedding that lasted 40 minutes on paper and was already over before it started. What would you have done? Would you have stayed quiet? Would you have said something sooner? Tell me in the comments, I genuinely want to know.